Join me as I take on the ultimate challenge, decoding the secret man language. Can I figure out what they really mean when they say, "I'm fine"? Have you ever found yourself having a conversation with a guy and thought, what on earth did he just say? Maybe he says, "I'm fine," or "it's nothing," but you're left wondering if it's actually nothing, or if there's a whole hidden world of emotions and meaning buried underneath. Well, you're not alone. Many of us have struggled to understand the mysterious way men communicate. But here's the twist. What if it's not just a code? What if it's a way of communicating that's shaped by culture, upbringing, and emotions that we don't always see on the surface? Today, we're going to unravel the complexities of man language and see how understanding it can make your interactions with the men in your life much clearer. Ready? Let's crack the code. What is man language? So, first things first, what exactly is man language? When we talk about man language, we're not talking about a literal language, although that would be interesting. We're referring to the unique ways in which men express their thoughts, feelings, and emotions. It's a mix of verbal cues, body language, cultural conditioning, and sometimes, if we're honest, just a little bit of mystery. You see, male communication isn't just about words. It's a complex web of unspoken rules, norms, and habits that men have internalized over time. If you've ever been left confused after a conversation with a guy, chances are, it's because this man language is operating under the surface, shaping the way he communicates without you even realizing it. But here's the thing, man language is not universal. It's not some rigid code that every guy follows the same way. Just like with any form of communication, each individual has their own nuances, influenced by upbringing, personality, and experiences. What one guy means by a phrase might be totally different from what another means. So, as we dig into the mystery of male communication, let's keep an open mind. The influence of societal expectations now. Let's talk about how societal expectations play a major role in how men communicate. From a young age, boys are often taught to be tough, stoic, and emotionally restrained. This pressure can create a communication style that's less about expressing feelings openly and more about keeping things in check. In fact, society often discourages boys from showing vulnerability or expressing emotions like sadness or fear. Think about it. How many times have you heard a guy say something like, "I'm fine," when clearly, he's not? It's not necessarily that he's lying, it's more likely a defense mechanism. He's learned that it's easier to say, "I'm fine," rather than show vulnerability or admit that he's struggling. This creates a communication barrier, because instead of expressing what's really going on, he sticks to the script society has given him. But what happens when men suppress emotions for too long? Over time, this can lead to frustrations, misunderstandings, and even a sense of disconnection in relationships. So, while men do experience emotions, they often have a different approach to expressing them, and that can be tricky to navigate if you're not familiar with their unique communication style. Common misconceptions about male communication. Let's clear up some myths that often cloud our understanding of male communication. Myth number 1. Men are not emotional. A lot of people assume that men just don't have the emotional depth that women do. But in reality, men experience just as many emotions as women: anger, happiness, fear, love, confusion. They feel it all. The difference is how they express those feelings. Where women might talk about their emotions openly, men might internalize them or express them through actions rather than words. Just because a guy doesn't cry during a sad movie doesn't mean he's not feeling something deep down. Myth number 2. Men are always direct and to the point. We've all heard the stereotype that men are straightforward and direct. While this can be true in some situations, like when they're giving instructions or talking about a specific task, it's not always the case. Men can be just as indirect or evasive as anyone else when it comes to emotions or topics they find difficult. It's important to recognize when a guy is being vague or hesitant, because it could be a sign that he's not sure how to express himself. The mask of confidence and humor. Another interesting part of male communication is the mask that many men wear. Society teaches men to act confident, even when they're not feeling it. This often means that, on the surface, men may seem self-assured or like they've got everything under control, even when that's far from the truth. So, when you hear a guy say, "I'm good," or "I've got this," it could be a sign that he's trying to project an image of confidence, even if internally, he's struggling. Humor is another key component of male communication. When men don't know how to express vulnerability, they often use humor or sarcasm to deflect. You've probably seen it before. A guy cracks a joke or makes a sarcastic comment at a time when emotions are running high. While it might seem like he doesn't take things seriously, humor is often a defense mechanism to avoid facing difficult emotions. Recognizing this can help you understand his true feelings and give him the space he needs to open up in his own time. Cultural differences in male communication. The way men communicate is also heavily influenced by culture. In some cultures, emotional expression is encouraged, and men are more open about their feelings. In other cultures, showing emotions is seen as a sign of weakness, which can lead to even more suppression of feelings. For example, in some Western cultures, it's common for men to joke about their emotions or brush things off with humor. But in other cultures, men might be more reserved, and emotions are considered private matters. Understanding these cultural nuances can be incredibly helpful when trying to decode the meaning behind a man's words or actions. The digital age, texting, social media, and online communication. Another layer that complicates male communication today is the influence of technology. With texting, social media, and other digital platforms, men are increasingly relying on written communication to express themselves. And as we all know, texting doesn't always convey emotions accurately. A short, one-word response might sound indifferent, but in reality, he might be feeling something entirely different. Take, for example, a guy texting you, "I'm fine," after an argument. Without tone of voice or body language, it's easy to misinterpret this as him being dismissive or uninterested. But he could simply be processing his emotions in his own way. The lack of face-to-face interaction can make it even harder to interpret what's going on in his mind. How to decode man language. Now that we've covered the basics of male communication, let's talk about how you can crack the code and improve your interactions with men. Pay attention to body language. A guy's posture, facial expressions, and tone of voice can say a lot more than his words. For instance, when he crosses his arms, it may not mean he's shutting you out. It could simply mean he's feeling vulnerable or uncomfortable. Pay attention to the context and his body language as a whole. Create a safe environment for communication. Men are more likely to open up when they feel safe and not judged. Create a low-pressure environment, whether it's chatting over coffee or just hanging out doing something casual. This makes it easier for men to relax and express their true feelings. Active listening. Men often don't want advice right away, they just want to be heard. Practice active listening by giving them your full attention, without interrupting or offering solutions right away. Sometimes, all it takes is listening and validating their feelings for them to open up more. In conclusion, at the end of the day, cracking the man code isn't about finding a secret formula. It's about recognizing that male communication is nuanced, shaped by a variety of factors including upbringing, culture, and even societal pressure. It's about understanding that men don't always express their emotions the way we expect them to, but that doesn't mean they're not feeling deeply. By learning to understand and decode these subtle cues, you can foster better communication and build stronger connections with the men in your life. Thank you for joining me on this journey into the world of male communication. Have you ever been confused by a guy's words or actions? Share your experiences in the comments below. I'd love to hear your thoughts. And don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe, and click the bell so you won't miss our next video where we dive into the art of effective listening. Remember, communication is key in every relationship. Let's keep cracking those codes together. See you next time.